Here for our very first live Facebook tasting. Wherever you are in Australia, let us know where you're actually tuning in from, and any questions that you have through the course of this tasting, put them down in the comments section and we'll do our very best to actually answer them. But what we're doing here today is tasting 3 wines. We could have tasted any 3 wines from hundreds of wines that we've got, but these are 3 wines that at some point in the last 3 weeks have been appearing in your basket and you probably already got. We had a Made by Mob Chardonnay was one of our free wines to our white lovers. We had the Engine Room, Hamish Maguire, Shiraz Tempranillo, which was a free bottle in one of our promotional cases. And then we've got the Obelisk Dead Red Cabernet Sauvignon 2017, which was a free bottle to a lot of our red wine lovers, Angel red wine lovers. So Paul, we're going to just work our way through.
Yep, and if anyone's got them, please crack them open. Taste along with us.
It's 1 o'clock. It's 1 o'clock somewhere. So we'll work one by one. We've got the Made by Mobs above 600 Chardonnay here from Steve Mobs in New South Wales. An absolute legend winemaker in the making. A young bloke, been around all around the world, made wines all around the world, but settled back in Orange. And Orange, as we know, basically is that region that is above 600 metres in the Central Ranges. Anything below 600 metres has to be called the Central Ranges.
Yep.
But he's an absolute legend, and we've got a very cool climate, high elevation Chardonnay here from 2017. Let's have a look. Could you, being the wine guru, have a look at this and see what we should expect from a high altitude, cool climate Chardonnay?
Yep, sure. So just quickly, this was the 17 vintage, which was a bit of a topsy-turvy vintage. There was a lot of rain, there was a lot of heat, there was a lot of rain, there was a lot of heat. So considering it wasn't the greatest of vintages, it's a cracking wine really. Like cool climate Chardonnay, it's got some really lovely stone fruits.
Yep.
There's a little bit of that toastiness in there. There's some really lovely spicy oak as well.
What sort of oak was it?
French. I think it's about 25% new, and the rest 1 year or 2 year old.
Okay.
But that really gives that really lovely sort of texture and length to the palate.
It's got good acids, hasn't it? Like it's not searing acidity, but it's got enough to actually balance the fruit flavour, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like so, you get that really, the stone fruits, and then that acid carries it through, and then you get that really nice spicy oak as well, and some of the toastiness. It's a very, very complex wine.
Would you call this a new century Chardonnay?
I would, yeah. The nice thing is, like 20, 30 years ago, Australian Chardonnay was very much big, broad, and lots of butter and pineapples, and then Sauvignon Blanc came along, and everyone said, "Oh my gosh, I need to make Chardonnay that tastes like Sauvignon Blanc." So out went the oak, and out went the butter, and it tasted like Sauvignon Blanc. And now we've gone, hang on a tick, we need to get somewhere in the middle. So this is exactly that. So it's still got that really nice acid, but it's also got some of that really nice oak character coming through, that toastiness, which just adds to the complexity of the wine. It's really delicious.
So would you call this, a sundown Chardonnay, or is it more of a food?
It's more of a food. I mean, it's a serious Chardonnay.
Yeah.
It's definitely, it's not one of those. I mean, you can crack it at any time, obviously, but it is a more serious Chardonnay with complexity, with really good length. Something that you can definitely sit down and drink, but it'd be fantastic with some food. I think Steve recommends drinking it with fish, which is fine. Salmon also really well. The acid would cut through that sort of fattiness in the salmon. Chicken's always great, depending on what sauces you have.
Yep.
Yeah, they would go really well with that particular wine.
This is a really good wine to actually show the power of Angel customer funding, really. I mean, because this is a Chardonnay that would normally retail around about $26 a bottle, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can pay upwards.
And upwards of that.
Yeah.
But because of Angel funding, because the actual Angel customers have actually funded Steve to actually make these wines just for Angels, this is actually available to Angels at $17.29.
Yeah.
So
it's
a bargain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the nice thing also is that Steve has now sort of gone out on his own and is now pretty much making Made by Mobs exclusively for us, which is fantastic. The Angels have allowed him that freedom to go out
and back himself, because we're backing him.
Exactly.
I mean, prior to this, incarnation as a winemaker, he basically was what would you call it, rolling and climbing through the orange filters, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
for one of the major winemakers there.
Yeah, exactly.
So we actually sometimes use the word, we liberate winemakers, or Angel Funding allows winemakers to be liberated.
Exactly.
I mean, he's actually living his dream now, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he makes some great wines, but this is, it's a stunning example of cool climate Chardonnay.
Yep.
And orange as a region in itself is something that hopefully we as a business can get behind and start singing and talking more about, because it's relatively unknown. Everyone sort of knows Margaret River, Yarra Valley, Mornington Peninsula, but the orange region of New South Wales is, try this wine. They're making some stunning wines.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to be confused with orange wines, right? Which is
No,
another time. Yeah, exactly. Shall we move on?
Yeah, well, I mean, is there any questions from anyone?
No, just fire them through if you do have any questions, and we'll answer them for you. The very next one. Okay, let's pour this. So this is Hamish Maguire's Engine Room 2017 McLaren Vale Shiraz Tempranillo. Hamish Maguire, McLaren Vale, born and bred. Wine is almost, coursing through his veins. He was raised in a winemaking family, an iconic winemaking family. He's basically taken over the family winery and vineyards in McLaren Vale, South Australia. The Engine Room, again, because of angel funding, customer funding from the angels, allows him to actually go and live his vision and be a rebel, because he is. He doesn't just want to make traditional McLaren Vale wines, which he can do and does do, but he's a fan of blends, right? He likes to actually...
He likes to have a play around. Especially with some of the newer varietals that are coming through in McLaren Vale.
Absolutely. So McLaren Vale, very much a warm-blooded, warm-climate area. You would think it would equal, big jump out of the glass flavours, right?
Yeah.
So what have we got here in Shiraz Tempranillo, and why do we actually have Tempranillo back-ended blended to the Shiraz?
Sure. So again, just quickly, the vintage 17 McLaren Vale was, I think, the wettest on record. It was very, very wet. It was also very, very late. So that kind of, you can see that in the wine. It's not as probably as rich and as big as potentially you would normally get out of McLaren Vale, but it's still very ripe and elegant.
Yep.
It's just not as big and rich as it has been.
So just on when you actually get a deluge during the ripening period, or just prior to the harvest period, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, but it basically has the potential to actually dilute the flavours, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it's all about whereabouts in the vale this was, the fruit was, what's the soil it was on. There's a whole lot of mitigating factors. It's just a general comment.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But Hamish has still managed to get some really lovely ripe cherry, some plum into the wine.
Yeah.
There's a touch of spice from the Tempranillo, and that's basically why it's in there. So Shiraz can be quite a big wine in terms of mouthfeel and texture, and the Tempranillo just adds a little bit of spice, which sort of cleans it all up, makes it a little fresher, more approachable wine to drink right now. A grapefruit wine again with that Tempranillo in there. I mean, there's not a huge amount of Tempranillo in the wine, but there's enough to make a little bit of a difference.
Again, what would you partner this with?
Look, to me, this is the perfect sort of pizza wine, lasagna, pasta, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The Tempranillo in there adds some really nice acid, and again, it's a very versatile wine for eating with. But think Italian.
Yeah, and that's just so juicy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, that is just so gluggable. I mean,
it's not overblown. It's not too syrupy.
Yeah.
It's just fresh and very, very, let's just say, gluggable. Drinkable. Yeah, totally.
I mean, dangerously gluggable, drinkable.
Yeah. And Hamish has a lot of fun with it, because his day job is making typical traditional wines, and throwing a bit of Tempranillo here, and he puts Sangiovese in his Cabernet, and these sort of things allow him to have a bit of fun, and the proofs in the pudding, the wines are so drinkable.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, just using angel speak for a second, this is actually rated at 97% buy it again on our website. Absolutely, genuinely, 97%. That is one of the highest rating reds on our site.
Yeah.
And I just looked at previous year on year, 94 last year, 95% the year before, 95% the year before. That's phenomenal. Yeah. That this can be such a consistently produced wine.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's in saying that whatever we say about the wine or what we think about the wine doesn't really matter.
Absolutely.
They love all of these wines, so it's fantastic.
Yeah. Great wine.
Mm.
A lot of people got that, a lot of angels got that free when they bought the Connections mix case 2 weeks ago, when we put out a promotional case, which basically just showed the power of angels when connected directly to the winemakers. They actually have, angels actually influence whether a wine gets made again based on that buy it again percentage rating, so clearly this will be made again next year.
Yep.
Do we have a question?
We did have a question which you have already answered. You must have read Suzanne's mind, which was asking what foods would go well with the wine. So I've already answered that one, thank you very much. And a question from Greg, which is Tempranillo isn't a traditional grape for Australia, so how come Hamish made this one for angels?
So it's not a typical Australian variety, but it's definitely growing in terms of its popularity. It's a Spanish varietal, but it's where it's grown is very hot and arid, and kind of what Australia is as well. So it's probably lends itself very, very well to the Australian climate. More so than potentially Cabernet and Shiraz does, or maybe not Shiraz, but Cabernet on all the other varieties that we have.
Yeah.
So the reason for him throwing into this is, it's sometimes a little bit scary to try a straight Tempranillo or something that you've never heard of. So put it with something that you're more familiar with, and so you get to try, get to experiment a little bit.
So it's baby steps, really, isn't it?
Exactly. And then, who knows, in a couple of years we'll move on to the straight Tempranillo.
I mean, and Paul, another question? Oh. The question was, can you move quickly to the next one? Great question, yeah. So, final one we have is the Obelisk Dead Reckoning Cabernet Sauvignon 2017. As I mentioned before, this actually went out as a free bottle to literally thousands of angels in the last 2 weeks. Anna and Derek Cooper, absolute legends. Again, winemakers that have travelled around the world, made wines independently, came back to the limestone coast of South Australia, fell in love, and decided to actually become a winemaking legendary team. They make out of the limestone coast, and of course that includes, that's the larger zone area, and it includes subregions Rattenbury and Coonawarra. Rattenbury being the distinct neighbour to Coonawarra. Same soil types, slightly higher, slightly warmer, but really it's in the same sort of zone as Coonawarra, isn't it? So this is exactly limestone Terra Rossa soil. So this is a straight Cabernet. Does it elicit all those hallmark Cabernet qualities that we expect from a Coonawarra Rattenbury red?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the vintage was late, was a bit wet. So again, in a vintage when it could have been kind of disastrous. Cabernet is quite a thick skin, so it managed to. It's quite a hardy grape, so it came through really, really well, and that extra long period of ripening made really full flavoured wines, and you get that lovely mintiness or eucalyptus, whatever you call it, blackcurrant. It's just intense fruit smell. There's a touch of oak in there. It's spicy.
Did you pour mine?
Yes, that's the new one. Yeah, I mean it's a cracking wine, I reckon.
Yeah.
I mean, $13 or $14.
Where is it?
Yeah.
So, $20, as an indicative retail benchmark price, but $13.99 to Angels, right?
Yep.
For an absolutely genuine Terra Rossa soil with Cabernet Sauvignon. That's extraordinary.
Yeah. I mean, that's the nice part about having some Rattenbury in there. I mean, if it was straight Coonawarra, the price would be closer to $20, but adding some Rattenbury in there and you get the price down.
Yep.
But you don't lose any of the characteristics.
Yep.
It's just stunning. And there's lovely length, and the tannin is nice and chewy. It'll last for 5 to 8 years easily. It's stunning wine.
Oh, it is a stunning wine. I mean, what I love is, if for instance you want to go to the Obelisk wall on the naked site, you'll actually see video footage and still footage of basically where Anna and Derek Cooper live. You cannot get any further south of South Australia than when they live. It is absolutely roaringly cold and winds blast the vineyard. So, that's almost the roaring 40s coming through the south part of Australia and actually influencing directly the vineyards and the wine growing, right? Which would impact foliage, which would impact ripening, which would impact everything.
Yep.
I mean, what does such a feral climate have on the ripening process and the taste as well? Like, do you get that minerality from the actual Southern Ocean and stuff like that?
I don't know if it's from the ocean, but you know, when it's windy and it's cold and it's tough to grow, that means that there's not a lot of foliage. So the grapes they take as much as they possibly can, and there's not a lot of density on the grapes. There's a lot of intensity in each and every one of those grapes. So you know, you can see that in the wine. It's lovely and intense, full of flavour, full of fruit.
You just get the feeling that the vines have got to be very hardy in order to actually survive.
Yeah, and you know, that thick skin as well, that helps it protect it from mildew and all these diseases that can come around when it's late in the season. It gets a bit cooler, a bit wetter.
So, cellaring expectations for this one?
I mean, 5 to 8. It's drinking lovely now. It'll drink well for 5 to 8 years. I mean, screw caps kind of extend everything, but you know, 5 to 8 easily.
Yep.
It's beautiful. You know,
Yeah.
There's a definite food match with the Cabernet, and that's lamb. It's very classic. Lamb, mint jelly.
Exactly. To match the mintiness and the exact wine, right?
Yeah, everything's in balance.
Which is, you know, very quick 101 food and wine matching, right? Because you're a massive foodie.
Yep.
And so the palate, the
weight,
the flavour of the wine, the flavour of the food and the weight of the food has to match the flavour and weight of the wine. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Because if it doesn't, something's out of whack and something wins, and it shouldn't be about winning here.
Yeah, exactly. It's making each of them better than the other.
So, do we have a final question?
We have an earlier question from Jack that we might have skipped before. Jack just wants to know really quickly how long you sell the Chardonnay for. That was the first one that we tried.
Yeah, I mean, you can sell it for up to 5 years. It's being a cool climate with great acid, it'll probably evolve for a little bit longer than that. I mean, it kind of depends what you like. If you like your fresh fruit flavours, drink it now for the next 5 years and you'll get that. After that, those will sort of subside and you'll get more of the oaky, toasty, sort of buttery flavours coming through. So it depends what you like. If you don't like that flavour, don't accelerate it. I mean, that's the whole thing with accelerating. You do it because the wine, you like the flavour of that.
That comes with it.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Not because everyone says you have to.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
do it if you like that flavour. If you don't bother, drink it right now.
Yeah, exactly.
And just a big thank you to Natalie, who has pointed out that it is National Red Wine Day today.
Well, there you go. Thanks, Natalie. Somewhere it's National Red Wine Day.
Right here
in Manly. Listen, thanks very much for joining us. Thanks for your comments, thanks for your questions. Paul, Stu here are always here to answer your questions, of course, but we'll also be doing these live Facebook tastings going forward. Let us know what you'd like us to taste. We're ready to do exactly what you want us to do in terms of tasting, and then in terms of what you want to learn about, and just share your learnings with us and share your tastings with us. But
thanks to all the angels that make these wines possible.
Well, we're only here because of the angels, and as it says on the back of every single naked exclusive wine, angel funding made these wines possible. It is what we call the virtuous circle. You support the winemakers support you by giving back wines at a ridiculously low price. So thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers.